we have to discuss about that. Class 6 English Ncert textbook. Content forward or not forward. Chapter number 1. A Tale of Two Birds. I am packed and with the sunshine class 6. Right. सो जाओ बस Chapter number 1. A Tale of the Two Birds. A mother bird and the hers and to the young and once the leaves in other forest. The mother was killed in other storms and other young birds and bear the separated and for each the others and for the found other different home. And there once lived other birds and her to the newborn and babies in other forest, and they had other nest in a tall and shady trees, and there the mother birds and took cares of the her littles once a day and night and once day, and there was other big storms and there was the thunder. There was the thunder, lightning and rain and the winds blow and down many trees. The tall trees in which the birds and lived also the come down. A big heavy branches and branch and hid the nest and the killed the birds and fortunately and for the baby birds and the strong winds and blow them away and the other sides. The other side of the forest and one of them and come down near other cave and gathers other gangs of the rovers and lived the others and landed the outside other rishi ashrams a little distance away. Days passed and the babies bird and becomes big the birds and one day and the king of the countries and come to the forest and to hunt. He a deer and the road and after it and it ran and deep into the forest and following by the king. And soon the king lost and his the ways and didn't know and where he was. He rode on for other long times until he comes to the others side of the forest and very the tired and by now and he got off his the horse and sat down under other tree and there the stood and near the cave suddenly he heard other boys and cry out and quick hurry up and there someone's and the under the trees and come from the take his the jewels and his the horses and the hurry or else and he will sleep and away and the king was amazed and he looked and up and the a big browns and buds on the trees and under which he was and the sitting and he also the hard and front and noise the issuing from the capes and he quickly got and on to horses his his horse and the rode away and as the past he could. The king was the emergent to hear other similar boys again and he come to now the words and through the stories and he made the rishis and who explained the behaviors and of each words. Soon he comes and to other clearings and which the looked be like an ashrams and it was the rishis and ashrams and the king tied his the horse and two other trees and sat down and in its the sad and suddenly he heard other gentle voice and announced and welcome to the ashrams and sir please go inside and rest. The rishi will be the back soon and there's some and cold water in the pot and please the make yourself and comfortables. The king and looked up and the show other big and brown sword in the trees and he was the amazed and this one looks like the others and words and outside the cave and he said to himself loudly and who you are right and sir the answered the word he is my the brothers and but he has no mad friends and with the rovers and he now talk as they do and he don't talk to me and anyone anymore and just then the rishi entered the ashram. Welcome, welcome, sir, he said. He said to the king, and please come inside and make yourself at home. And you look tired and rest for other while. Then you can the shares my food. And the kings and told the rishi the story of the two words and how each eat them and how each had behaved and thought so the different thought and they looked so alike. The forest is full. The forest is full of the surprise, and he said the holy man smiled and said, and after all, and is known by the companies and one the keeps and that the words and have the always heard and the talk of the rovers and he the eliminated them and talks about roving pupils and this once and has the repeated and what he has always had and he welcome pupils to the ashrams. Now come inside and rest and I will tell you the most about and this the places and thus the words. What did the two babies and what's get the separated? Question next question. The friendly mangroves. A farmer's his wife and there the small child and lived in other village. And there was also other babies and mangroves. And in the house and who lived. Farmers and his wife and there the small child and lived in other village and there was also the baby mangrove in the house and who gave they believed would be theirs the son and companies and the friend in futures. One day the farmers and his wife and want out the living the child and alone and with the mangroves. And once other farmers and his wife lived in other village and with theirs the small sons and they lived him very much and we must have other pet and the farmer said to his the wife and one day and when our the son grow up and he will need the compensations and this the pain will be the our son and companions and his the wife liked the ideas and once and events and the farmers brought and with him other teeny mangroves and it is other impact it is other baby mangroves and said his the wife and but will the soon be fully down grown. He will be the a friend and to our the son. Both the baby and the mangroves and grey in the 5 or the 6 month, and the mangrove had the grown to its the full size. The lovely animals and with to the shinings and black eyes and the bushy tails. The farmers was still the baby in the cradles and the sleepings and the cryings alternately. One day the farmer's and wife wanted to go to the market, and she fed the babies and rocked him to the sleeps in his the little cradles. And picking up and the basket, and she said to the her husband, I am off to the bazaars, and the busy baby sleeping and keep and the eyes on him, and frankly I don't like to leave the child alone with the mangroves, and you the needn't and be the afraid. And said the farmers, the mangroves is the friendly animals, it is as the sweet as ours the babies, and they are the best of the friend. And the wife went away, and the farmers having nothing to do and in the houses, and decided to go out and take other look at his the field. And not far away, and he run into the some friends, and on the bay backs, and the didn't and returns for the quite some the times. The farmer's wife turned and home from the market and carrying other heavy baskets, and she found the mangroves and ate the interest entrance and of the houses, and with the blood on his the face and paws. And he jumped to the conclusions and that it was hers the son's and blood, and the mangrove was the guilty ones. The farmer wife finished and her the shoppings and come back home with other basketfuls of the groceries. And she say the mangroves and sitting outside as if the waiting for her. And on seeing her, and he run to the welcome her, and as was the customarily, and the farmer's wives and took once the look, ate the mangroves and screamed blood, and she the carries the face and the pew of the mangroves and bear the smeared with the blood the pigged and animals, and you have the killed my babies. And she screamed and my hystericals, and she was blind and with the rage and the with all the hearts and strength, and braid down the heavy basket and full of the groceries on the blood, and screamed and mangroves and run inside to the child cradles. And the baby was fast asleep, and but on the floors are laid a black snakes and torn and the bleedings. And in other flash, and she released what had the happened, and she ran out looking for the mangroves. Oh, you saved my child and you killed the snakes, and what have I done? And she the carried, touching the mangroves, and who lay dead and still and unawares of the her sowings. And the farmers' wives who had acted and hastily, and the Raisleys and shared and longs ate the dead mangroves. And then she the heard and the baby carryings, and the beeping heard the tears, and she went into the feed him. A story from the Panchatantra. Questions. Chapter number 3, the Shepherd's Treasures. A poor shepherd and once lived in the Irans, and through the uneducated uneducated, and he was the very wise and helpful. The king decided to meet him and in the discuss. Chapter number the Shepherd Treasure. Chapter number 3. In other village in the Iran, and there once lived other shepherd, and he was very poor. He did not have even a small cottage of his own, and he had never been to school or learn and to read and write, and for there were very few schools in those days, and through those poor and the uneducated, this the shepherd was very wise. He understood the pupils' sorrow and troubles, and helped them face their the problems with the courageous and common sense. And many the pupils comes to him for comes to him for the advice, and soon he the becomes and famous for his the wisdoms and the friendly natures. The kings of that the countries and heard about him and through of meetings him and discussing as other shepherd and reading on other mull. And one day and the king come to the cave and bear the wise the shepherd lived. And as soon as the shepherd and show the travelers and coming towards the caves, and he rose to the welcomes him, and he took the try troubles and inside the cave and gave him water to the drink and the shares of his oven the Megre's meals. And the king rested and for the nights in the cave and was the greatly impacted and by the shepherd hospitality and the wise and conversations the shepherds and was able to make out and that his the visitors and was known the others than the king and made the wise and shepherd governors of the small districts, and other governors becomes the jealous of the new governors and called his the dishonest. And though still tired, the king decided to depart the next mornings, and he said, "Many the thanks for yours the kindness to the poor troubles, and I have other long ways to go and permits me to live." Looking straight and into the eyes of his the saga is the guest and the shepherds and replied, "Thank you, your the majesty, and for the paying me the complimented of other visits." The king was the astonished as well as the pleasers, and he is the indeed, and very the wise, and he the although he the thought to himself, and I need pupils like him to the work and for me. And the king and appointed and this the humbles and shepherd the governor of the small districts. And although he rose to the poor and the dignities and the shepherds and remains as the humbles and as the events and pupils loved and the honored and him for his and the wisdoms and the sympathies and goodness. And he was kind and just a to one and all his and the faith as the fair and wise governors and soon separated thought out the country. And now the governors of others the princes and grew the terribly and jealous of him, and they began to talk and to the kings and against him. And they said, and he is the very dishonest and the keeps for himself and part of the money and that he the collect as the tax from the pupils. And why did he always and carry with him and they the aided and the iron thest, and perhaps he carried and into it in it the treasures and that he the had and the secretly and collected after all. They said and the mockings, and he was and the ordinary shepherd and could have behaved no better. The new governors and was called to the palace, and he was the order to explain why he the always carried an irons and chest, the chest and contain on gold or silver. If first the kings and did not pay attention and to thus the reports, and but how long and could he the ignored, and thus the governors and there's the endless and stories about the shepherd. And one thing was the certain, the king disorders and the new governors and did carry an iron chest and with him all the times. And so one day and the new governors was surrounded by summoned and to the places he came readings on his the camels, and to the everyone's delights, the famous iron chest was theirs, and fastened and securely behind and him on the camels and back. And now the king was the angry, and he the thunders, and why do you the always and carry that and iron chest and with you, and what does it contain? And the government smiled. He asked his servant to bring in the chest, and how the eagerly the pupils standing around waited for the shepherds and to be the found out, and but how the great was there the astonishments and the even of the king himself when the chest was opened, and no the gold or the silvers or jewels, and but an old blanket and was all that, and come out and holding it up proudly the shepherd and said, and this my dears and master is my the only the treasures, and I always carry it and with me, and but why do but why do you the carries and such and the ordinary blanket with you? Surely you are the governor of the districts. And the king asked, and to which the shepherd son replied with the queens and dignities, and this the blanket is my oldest friend. It will the still protect me if at any time you are the majesty and should with to the attack away my new clocks, and how the pleased the king was, and how the embarrassed and the jealous governors, and become to hear the wise man and reply. Now they know that the shepherd and was indeed the humblest and the wisest man in the land, and the king made him the governor of other much bigger and districts that very much an Iranian folklore. Questions. Answer the following questions. Chapter number 3. Chapter number 4. क्वेश्चन आंसर देख लेते हैं चैप्टर नंबर 1, 2 और 3 के. How did the two babies and words get the separated? How did the two words baby get the separated? Tell two words. Answer. One day there was the big storms, and the wind blew and downs, and many the trees, including the tall trees, and in which the woods and lived the big and heavy the branches, and hit the next, and the killed the woods, and but the strong winds and blew the babies woods and away to the other sides of the forest, and both the landed at the different places, and this is the how and the two woods were separated. Question number 2. What did each of them find other home? Where did each of them find a home? Answer 2. One baby child and found other home, and near other caves and where's other gang of rover lived the others landed outside other rishi ashrams a little distance away. Question number 3. What did the first word says to the strangers? What did the first word says to the strangers? The first was carried out to the strangers to hurry up and comes quick as there was someone under the trees, and it said, come and take away and his the jewels and his the horse in a hurry, or else he would sleep away. Question number 4. What did the second word say to him? The second word welcomed the strangers and in other gentle voice and to the ashrams, and required him to go out inside and rest. And he then said that the rishis and would be the bags and shoes, and asked him to drink some cold waters and make himself comfortable. Question number 5. How did the rishi explains the different ways in which the words behave? The rishi smiled and explained the different ways in which the word behaves, and by the sayings, after all, one is noun, and by the company and one the keep the first words, and has always the heard and the talk of the rover imitates and them, and talks about the rubbings and pupils and the other words repeat and what he always hears, and so welcomes pupils to the ashram. Which one of the following in Islam's up the story based? The word is hand. Which one of the following Islam are the word is hands and the story based? A bird is hand in the boat and two in the bus, and one is noun and why the companies and one keeps a friend in other needs is other friend indeed. The best story. The line that sums that the story best is one is known as by the companies one keeps. One is known by the story one keeps. Story is best. Chapter number second. Answer the friendly mangroves. Question answer. Questions. What did the farmers bring a baby mangroves into the house? Answer. The friendly mangroves. The farmers brought other baby mangroves into his the house, and because they needed other pet, and so that there the son had other companion. When he grew up, the baby mangroves and would be the friend and to their the son in the futures. Question number 2. Why did the farmer's wife and want to leave the babies and alone with the mangroves? The farmer's wife was afraid of the mangroves and harming her child, and so she didn't want to leave her babies and alone with the mangroves. Question number 3. What was the farmer's and comment on his wife's fears? The farmer told his wife and that she didn't and be afraid, and as the mangrove was the friendly animals, it was as the sweets as theirs the baby, and they were the best of friend. Question number 4. Why did the farmers and wife streak the mangrove with her basket? The wife says the mangrove and face and the poise and smeared and with the blood, and the concluded and that it must and have killed the baby. And she carried blood and the continuously and strangely the hysterically and accusing the wicked animals of having killed her baby, and she was blind with rage and with all the harsh strength, and she brought down the heavy basket and full of groceries on the blood steamed and mangroves. Smeared mangroves. Did she spend her the hasty actions, and how does and she show her the repentance? Yes, she repented and heard the hasty and raised the actions, and she the realized and that the mangrove had the actually saved her the child by the killings the black snake. She reached outside and looking for the mangroves, and she the repented and why the shanks and that the mangroves, and he the saved her the child, and look what he had done to the reply it, and she touched the mangroves, and that lay the deed and the steed, and unawares of her the sowings, and started long in the deed mangroves. चैप्टर नंबर 3 द शेफर्ड ट्रीजर्स के आंसर। क्वेश्चन आंसर द शेफर्ड ट्रीज। The Shepherd Treasures questions and answers. Question number 1. The shepherd hasn't did to the school become? And first, he was very poor. There were very the few schools in those the days, and he wasn't interested in the studies. Choose the right answer. Shepherd teaser. The shepherd did not go to the school, and because there was very the few schools in those days. Question number 2. Who visited the shepherds and one day and why? The king discussed and as other shepherd and the readings on a. The mule and the visited the shepherd and one day, and although the poor and the uneducated and the shepherd was very wise and the understood and pupils, sorrow and the troubles and help them face. Help them face and with the courage and the common sense. The king heard and about him and their force and wanted to meet the shepherd and who had the become so the famous and for his the wisdoms and the friendly natures and among the common pupils. Question number 3. Why did the others governors and grow the jealous of the shepherd? The other governors and grew the jealous of the shepherd, and because although he rose to the powers and dignities, remained as the humble as ever, and people loved and the honored and him for his the wisdoms and sympathy and goodness, and his the fame as other fairs and wise the governors, and soon shepherd the thought out in the country. Question number 4. Why was the new governor called to the palace? The other jealous governors told the kings and that the new governor and was very the dishonest and kept for himself as the part of the money and that he collected as a tax from the pupils and he the shrouded it in and the irons and chest which he the carried and with him all the times. And when the kings and grew the tired of their the stories and could not the ignore and them any the longer and also noticed and that the governor and did carry and with him the irons chased and ate all the times he the summoned and him to the palace to find out and it what they said was true. Question number 5. And why was the everyone delighted to see the iron chest on the camel back? Everyone was delighted to see the iron chest fastened and the surely behind and him on the camel's back because the counselors he warned the king that he was the dishonest and the stored all the treasures and that he the collected in the iron chest. They were convenient and that now and that he all he had brought the iron chest and with him it would be the opened and his the dishonestly and would be the revived and to the king. Question number 6. What did the iron chest contain and why did the shepherd always the carry it and it is it and the example of the shepherd and the humilities of the earth wisdoms or both? Answer number 6. The iron chest did not the contain and gold, the silver, soil, jewel, but and the old blankets. The shepherd carried the blanket and with the him and always the because it was his the oldest friend and the would protect and him if at any times his the majesty and decided to take away his new clothes, and it is an the example of the shepherd of humilities and the wisdoms as he was after he was appointed as the governor and he still remained a humble and a the vibe. and wise man and answer seventh. Question number 7. How did the king and reverse the new governor? The king made him the governor of other much and bigger districts and that very day. Thank you guys. This session will be closed.